Good morning, all. Hope you all doing well. Okay. So, from startup to big companies, they are looking for Java developers nowadays, and they are especially looking for who can work on enterprise level applications and those who can work with Java, who can work with Spring, who can work with database, and who can work with front-end frameworks or front-end frameworks like Angular, React, okay, so on. And if you want to fulfill that requirement, yeah, you are in a right place. I'm going to help you in that. And my name is Pavani. Currently, I'm working in HCL. I'm a corporate trainer and I have more than 10 years of experience in developing and training as well. In this, so we are going to provide the full course about full stack Java, and that is like mastering Java and Spring Boot with the live project. So, with live project, with your live project. This is the most important one because you should have hands-on experience. So whenever you have to face interviews, right? So otherwise, theoretically, you have learned syntactically something like that. Okay. So that doesn't affect on your interviews. So you know the theory part. So practically, you have to prove, and concept-wise, you have to learn. Okay. So so what about full stack Java? Can anyone? Do you know about anything about full stack Java? That's okay. Actually, full stack Java. So I'll just share my PPT, one of the PPTs. So that is Java full stack. Uh, yeah, I think the screen is visible to you, right? Yeah. So in full stack, as a full stack developer, you have to learn the front end part and back end part and database and the other tools which can support your application. So what are these applications? We have more than 20 plus tools. Okay? So we have to know about those tools. Otherwise, you can't complete the full application. You can't develop the full application. The front end part and back end part, you know those, right? The front end UI designing. For UI designing, you are going to code with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Angular, React. So these are all frameworks, the React, Vue, and Angular. So these supports these three tools like HTML hypertext markup language, cascading style sheets, and JavaScript. What is HTML? It's a hypertext markup language which supports to design your web application. Only to design. So the designing part in that you just keep the content in that. Okay. So how? So where you have to keep this slide and this matter and this image like this. Okay. And the CSS, it gives the styles. The name itself, cascading style sheets, it gives more style effective to that particular page. Okay. JavaScript is you are interacting with the, so you just interact with the, interaction is very important, right? Why we need interaction? If you interact with the web page, so you are filling your own application. So you have to submit and you have to give the name, you have to give the password. Whenever you give password, it has to match, and it has to give something about it. It has to react like so here you have given the wrong password, or else here you have said your password user ID is not matching. Like that, it has to give some reaction. Okay, that means you are interacting with the web application. Okay, so the for that interaction we need JavaScript. We need JavaScript. So okay, so for designing web application, we need HTML, CSS, JavaScript. What is this Angular? So what is this Angular, React, Vue? So these are all frameworks. These are all actually frameworks. I will explain the frameworks again. Okay. So what is Angular? So which supports all these concepts. Okay. React also supports all these concepts. Vue also supports all these concepts. These are all different frameworks. You can use one of them. Okay, not all. And VS Code, we are going to write the front end part in VS Code, that is IDE. Actually, so the that is like a text editor which supports you to write the code. And the backend part, in the backend part, um, one second, my voice. Let me check my voice. Is my voice is clear? Is there any background voice and all? Let me confirm. Yeah. Oh, one second, one second. Yeah. Give me 2 minutes. I will be back. Now I am audible. Am I?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So we'll discuss what is framework. Okay. So framework is like so a pre-built, like pre-designed or semi-developed ready-made software. Okay. So we can say anything. The ready-made software, so which can be available from the framework. Okay, to do, okay, so whatever you want to do. So here we are using the front end framework, that is Angular, for example. We are using the Angular framework means it just supports the common code, okay, which is available for HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript, whatever you have. Actually here we are using TypeScript, not JavaScript. TypeScript is nothing but, so this is the super class for JavaScript. Actually, this is a superclass for JavaScript. TypeScript. So it is just connected to JavaScript. Okay. So here in Angular we are using the TypeScript, so which is the super class of JavaScript. So it just supports the common code available for HTML, CSS, and this TypeScript. Okay, so that we can easily, okay, build the web page, okay, so in an effective manner in with a small amount of code. Okay, so it just reduce the we have 1,000 lines in a HTML code actually. So Angular just reduces to, okay, almost 20 to 30. Okay, so that much effective. Okay. So not only for Angular front end, because Spring also a framework. Okay. So the framework itself, so we can define it as semi-developed or ready-made software. Okay. So which can provide some common logics. Okay. So which are required for several projects. So for all the projects, no need to write all that code again and again. Okay. So we have some common code which is available from the framework. And yeah, so the backend part, very important one, where we implement the actual business logic. Okay, so here, as we are Java developers, we are using the Java. So when you use Java, you have to know, so you have to know core Java concepts. Okay, core Java concepts. So what is core Java? So that is J to SE, right? So you know that these things, right? If you don't know also, no issues. I will explain in further classes. So what are the concepts available in Core Java and what are the features added in Java 8, 9 and 10. Okay, so very important interview questions comes from Java 8 onwards. Okay, so like some concepts added like lambda functions. Okay, so functional interfaces. So those, so we can discuss more in an effective manner, so you can answer the questions, the interview questions. And one more thing, so about core Java is a basic one. So you have to, when you want to develop any web application or enterprise application or gaming application, so you have to know the advanced one. Okay, so here we need advanced Java also. Advanced Java means, so we are going to develop Java Enterprise Edition, okay, J2EE. Okay. So in this we have the topics like servlets, which can connect the web. So we have to connect with the web application, means we need HTTP request and HTTP response. Okay. Here, so how to connect with the web page. Okay. So we need servlets. Okay. So actually, these servlets, it's a very big topic. So how you are requesting, how you are getting the response, everything available in the servlets itself. And what is dispatcher servlets, how to connect with one servlet to another servlet. Okay, so we have to know all these topics, then only you can go to Spring. Okay, framework. So what Spring is doing, so you have to know, right? The back side, it just using the servlets, and for view purpose, view in the sense, it is available for the user. So user end, so it just shows that web page, right? That is view. Okay, so whatever you do in the front end part, that is view. So here we are using a Java server pages, JSP, and so we have to know the JDBC, very important. So for example, why we need JDBCs, I will give you one example. So just so you just given one password to open or sign in a particular web page. Okay, and next time you have to enter means, it just checked that password, right? User ID and password. How it is checking? It has to go to database, right? It has to connect with the database. The application has to connect with the database, and whatever the stored information has to retrieve from the database. So for that we need a connection, Java database connection, JDBC. Here what we have, okay, so we will discuss further. Okay, so these are the topics which are available in advanced Java. And of course, after learning all these, so we will go to Spring. Okay. So here, so we have to discuss about a Spring and Spring framework as well as okay. So what are the differences between a Spring framework and a Spring Boot? Okay. Spring Boot, so why we are using Spring Boot now? So before we have used a Spring framework, okay. So if you don't know all these concepts, also no issues. I will let you know. So for, in detail in further classes, I just want to explain. So what are the topics available in this course? Okay. So we will discuss the Spring framework and yeah, of course, Spring Boot. And what are the differences? We will write one application using Spring Framework as well as Spring Boot, and you can find out what are the differences. Okay, and in Spring Boot, uh, so which type of functionality is available? Okay, actually, why we are using this framework? So why it is that much popular? Okay, so we will discuss now. Okay, so after completing this database, yeah. So here, what is Hibernate? I will discuss. Okay. So the backend part. So we have to know about Java and the framework. So what we are using, that is Spring, and we need a database. Just now we have discussed, right? So to store something, the data, okay, you need databases. And why we have to connect the database with the application? Yeah, of course, you have to store some information about that application. So whatever user has given, okay, it has to store whatever user wants. It has to retrieve. So everything has to store in the database. For that, we need a database. Here we are using some relational databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, okay, and so on. Okay, uh, and we have a NoSQL also, so like MongoDB. We will discuss that also. So if you are interested, okay. So I will explain this MySQL. Okay, so through MySQL, how you are connecting the database. So if you are interested, okay, I will explain MongoDB also. So this is also very famous. So nowadays we are using. And the other tools, front end completed, back end completed, database completed. So we have to know some tools. So what are the tools available? So we will discuss after completion of Spring framework in detail. Okay. So we just discuss about a Spring framework and Spring Boot. Actually, we have two types of frameworks. One is ORM framework and web frameworks. So for web frameworks, in previous days we used structs. You may heard this word, right? Structs. Okay. You may heard this word. This is also one of the famous framework. So which are okay, like very much uses of structs in 90s, I think. Yeah, in 90s itself. But now we are using completely framework, the other frameworks like Spring and Spring Boot. And here, so we have ORM connection. ORM connection. Why we need ORM connection? This is one of other framework available for Java. So that is, um, for example, we are using to connect a database. That is uh, actually, so we have to connect with the database means so we need some tools. So nowadays we are using a Hibernate. Nowadays we are using Hibernate. You are going to learn Hibernate, how you are connecting this Hibernate, and how you are connecting your MySQL database. So everything we can cover in this. Okay. So structs we are not going to discuss about it because nowadays we are not using, but of course, so we can use the Spring and Spring Boot frameworks. Actually, what is this Spring? Okay. So every time we are discussing about Spring, what is Spring? So just it is this single framework. Okay. So we have so many versions, and so whatever we have. Okay. So from the beginning, Spring just provide 1x. So this is the first version actually, and which can provide the 7 modules. So almost 7 modules. What are these modules? We will discuss. And so then Spring 2 also introduced. So this provides almost 6 modules. Why it is reduced? So we just club the modules. That's it. Okay. And here onwards, we have 20 plus modules. That's why this is in a bow. Okay. That's why we are using okay, so like okay, so whatever the project, so completely we are using the Spring framework, 20 plus modules. Because of this, because of this, so we can use 20 plus modules in this framework. That's why we are using Spring framework. Okay, and Spring Boot also a framework, but so actually this is introduced by I just forgot. So actually, Rod Johnson introduced this one. Yeah, so very famous Spring framework. What about Spring Boot? Why it just introduced? Already we have 20 modules. We are using Spring framework. Fine. Okay. So why we are using Spring Boot? Because so we need some configurations. We need some configurations. Like we will discuss later what is pom.xml, all these okay, XML configurations and all. We will discuss afterwards because you doesn't understand what are these. I will explain again. Okay, so I will show. Okay, so one application in my laptop. So we need some configuration, and in Spring Framework we have to do on our own. The developer, we in the sense the developer has to write the code to configure all these XML configurations and some more so we have to connect with the database also. So we need JDBC templates and all. Here in Spring Boot, those are all we can avoid. So we have application properties, file, so which supports, so what are you are going to append to your application. So you can connect your database, you can connect your server port, you can mention Tomcat server. So actually here we have embedded Tomcat server. So why we need Tomcat server? So we have to provide service, right? So structs and servlets, okay, the concept, so provides, okay, the service, right? The name itself, servlets. So when you are connecting to the application, it has to serve to the user, right? So it is the basic one. So whenever you want service, you need some type of servers. So here we are using Tomcat server, and here no need to okay pull up this Tomcat server in this Spring Boot. So we have embedded already. We have this one. We can use that. Okay. So that's why we are using the Spring Boot. It just avoid all the XML configurations. Auto configuration is very important one in this Spring Boot. Auto configuration. So that's why we are just jumping into Spring Boot. Okay. In Spring Boot also we have so many versions. Now we are using 4 also. Previous, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 and all. And some projects are doing Spring in Spring framework also. Okay. So no issues, whatever you use, we can use Spring Boot. Okay. So here we have these type of advantages. That's why we are using Spring Boot. So overall, so what Spring is providing, we can see. Okay. So what Spring is providing is like it is. One second. Yeah. So actually, this is a open source one, and it is versatile. That's why we are using this one. So the modules available in this framework. Okay. So we can observe here modules available. What are the modules available? Spring Core. Okay. So very important one, the basic one. Okay. So these are all available in Spring and as well as Spring Boot also. Okay. So the modules available in Spring. Spring Core. So this is the basic one, and we have Spring Context, and we have Spring DAO. So that is what is Spring DAO? You may heard this word, right? Data access object. Okay. Of course, we are doing data access object in JDBC also, right? So here it is providing the common code to connect this JDBC. Okay. So data access object, and we have Spring ORM. Already I told you ORM, object relational mapping. So you have to connect with, for example, I will give you an example like, so we have a student information. So we have to write the code, okay. Um, so this is your student ID, this is your student name, and this is your, so you are writing the application, okay. So whenever you're writing the application, so you have to give the ID, name, marks, and the whole details, right? And it has to connect with the database to store that, and in the database you need a student table, and which has the attributes, like attributes in the sense column names. Okay, the column names, so the student ID, student name, the marks. Okay, so it has to map, so whatever you write, it has to map with the database attributes, database column names. So for that we need object relational mapping. This ORM tool used by Hibernate. So we will discuss what is Hibernate on our. And we have Spring AOP. I will discuss this AOP, Spring AOP, and we have WebMVC, and we have Spring REST. So this is RESTful services. We have SOAP services also, but so we are using the RESTful services. So we'll see. So what is what? Don't worry. And we have Spring Data JPA. Actually, this Data JPA is Why we are using this data JPA? So we have to connect Java persistence application. Okay, so we have some inbuilt interfaces available in data JPA, so which we can connect and we can get the information about all CRUD operations. Okay, CRUD operations means we can create, we can retrieve, okay, we can update, okay, we can delete. CRUD, CRUD operations. And we have Spring Cloud, okay, and we have Spring Security, and we have okay Spring Batch also there. Like bulk, so we have to send some through application, we have to send emails, okay, to some employees in the organization. You can by using Spring Batch. Okay, so we have so many different types of tools available in Spring, and each and every module has its unique advantage. Okay, so we have to know all these concepts. Not only these, so we have so many, but the important modules are these. So we have more than 20 plus modules. We can discuss in further classes one by one. Now I just want to just okay let you know about small description about a Spring Core. Spring Core is like so this is the basic one in every Spring framework or Spring Boot applications. So we are using the Spring Core. The very important topic in this is IOC and DI. Okay, IOC and DI. What is DI? Dependency injection. This is IOC means inversion of control, and we have dependency injection. Okay, so what is this inversion of control? What is this dependency injection? Okay, so for example, I will give you an example. When you want to, if you don't know how to create class, also no issues. Just observe what is the concept. That's it. Okay. So when you create one class, A, okay, and in that we just created one constructor A. Constructor means so we are going to give a method with the name of the class name. Okay, so what are the uses of constructor, we will discuss. Okay, okay, to create our object also we have to mention the constructor. Okay, or else okay, so no need of constructor, I just have a method in that. Okay, so simple method m1. Okay, but how to call this method? Okay, so this is available in class A, right? How to call this method in the main method means, so you have to create one object. Okay, so and so that object is for example A. So you have to call that method like A dot m1, right? In this way, so how many functions you have in your application, how many objects you have to create? So many, right? Thousands of objects you have to create for getting those functionalities. Okay, so why we have to create every time the object? Okay, so this is unnecessary actually. So Spring Core avoid that by using dependency injection. Okay, it just create one bean class. So in this bean class, so we have some objects we can utilize. Directly we can call this M1 through this bean object. Okay. When it has to create. See, it doesn't create. So it is not, the objects are not available in bean actually. Whenever so you want, okay, so then it will create. Okay, so for that you have to give the annotation and all. Okay, that is a different topic actually. So we have like a, so I will give you a simple example. So why we have to keep our stuff, all the stuff in our house, right? So for example, so we have 1 lakh money. Okay, so but we are not using that money now. So why we have to every time create objects? Objects means, okay, every time whenever you have work, okay, so you have to open that, okay, and then you have to. Now we have application UPIs, right? So whenever you have, okay, so just give the password and you can transfer the money, right? So that is actually different example, but just to know the concept, I am just giving this example. Okay, whenever you have um, so that much money, okay, so why you have to keep on giving from your house? Okay, no issues, right? So yeah, every time you have to go to that class. Class means your house, and you have to pick that one. Okay, so that is impossible every time. Okay, so you need thousands of needs. So if you have one bean class in your hand, that is like your mobile. Okay, so every time whenever you want, you can create, right? So bean also, it just supports like handy. It just create objects whenever you want. Whenever you want to call this function, the particular function, okay, it just gives you that support. Yeah, I am here, so I will serve you. Okay, I can create object and I can call that method. Okay, so for that you have to give that assurance through dependency injection. What is dependency injection? You have to inject this object into this class. Okay, so that's why the name is dependency injections. It has to depend on that object and it has to inject to another class. Actually being also a class, it has to inject into another class. Okay, that is called dependency injection. That can be done through inversion of control, IOC. That can be done through inversion of control. So IOC just it will take care of all the Java objects. Okay, so what are available in Spring? Okay, actually Spring Bean. Okay, in Spring Bean, what are available? In, okay, so the objects. So at which point you need that object, and at which point you have to call the method. Okay, everything can be under control of inversion control. So the concept dependency injection uses the IOC concept. Okay. Hope you understand. So just Spring Core provides IOC and DI. Because of this, so we need to create thousands of objects. No need of that. We have bean class. Through dependency injection concept, we can create an object instantly and we can call those functionalities. Okay, so this is the actual Spring Core. Okay, but here, so we have to know all these concepts. Okay, so whenever you connect with the web application or enterprise application or so whatever the gaming application, so whatever the application, so you have to connect with the application, right? So for that you need extra tools. Not only this is not enough, right? A Spring Core is not enough. That's why it is a combination of modules. Okay. So here it just supports to create objects. Okay, fine. So almost thousands of lines, it reduces to 10 lines. Okay, that much difference. So every time you have to create object means, so every time you have to write this one. Okay, the class name A and the object name is equal to new, and for every function, whenever you create every object, you have to write like this. So this is a simple class. So we have so many classes and subclasses, and we have interfaces. So many are there, okay, in our application. Every time you have to create means, so that is impossible. Actually, so the developer is to uh, create like this. Okay. So now Spring just avoid those okay headache by using Spring Core. And we have Spring Context. What is this Spring Context? Actually, it is used to help you manage configurations of Spring application. Okay, so whenever you use Spring for the application, so it is a Spring application obviously to manage configurations. Already I told you what are the configurations available. So pom.xml. Okay, so I will show the what is this pom.xml and all. So to manage all the config, not only POM XML configurations, so we have other configurations too. Okay. So to manage all these, so we have Spring Context. So actually we have for example, we have 100 classes in a project. Okay. Almost more than 80 classes will take care by IOC. Okay, in version of control. Okay, so only 20 programs or 20 classes, okay, so developer has to develop. Okay, so that much facility it is giving because of this auto configurations. Okay, so this is Spring Context. Spring Core provides IOC and DI, and Spring Context provide so the management of configurations, all the configurations. Okay, it just supports whatever the required managing classes. Okay, and we have Spring AOP. So what is this AOP? Actually, AOP stands for Aspect Oriented Programming. Aspect Oriented Programming. This, so why we are using this Spring AOP means actually we have some logics. Those are belongs to like a helper logics. Okay, secondary logics. Okay, so why we are doing calling those as helper logics means we are providing something to the application. We are providing security, we are providing logging details, we are providing auditing details, we are providing exception handling. Okay, so these are all extra logic we are giving to that application. Even though we are not giving those extra logic, it will work, but for the perfection we have to depends on exception handling, we have to depends on logging, and we have to depends on auditing, and we have to depends on transactions and security. These are all extra logics, right? Secondary logics, we can call it as helper logics. To manage these helper logics we have Spring AOP. Okay, so we have Spring AOP. Hope you understand. So why we are using Spring AOP? Aspect oriented programming. So we just so it is actually used to separate that, okay? So it doesn't depend on a exception handling every time, okay? So it just provide automatically, okay? That's why we are using aspect oriented programming, okay? To support the secondary logic. And we have Spring DAO. Actually, this also called as access object or Spring JDBC also almost same. Spring JDBC. Java database connection. So why we need this? The name itself, it is connecting to the database, right? It is connecting to the database means so we can take the support of data so which are available in the database, and we can retrieve, we can create, we can use that one, okay, we can process that one, okay, we can delete that one, so everything, it just supports everything regarding JDBC, okay. Actually, so when you write only JDBC, we have so many steps, okay, so almost 6 to 7 steps. Like it has to load the driver, I will give that also. It has to load the driver class. The so here you have to load the particular MySQL driver, okay, fine, so you have to give that one, okay, so load driver, and you need to get connection, and so you have to create the statement. Actually, so you have to write some queries, right? Through statement itself you have to write that one, create the statement, and you have to execute that query, right? So you just created that one and you have to execute that query. Execute the query. Query means so whatever you want you can ask, okay, database will give, okay. So for example, so you have a table, so the query is select star from the star in the sense asterisk symbol, that is shift 8, okay. So asterisk symbol, select star from the particular table name, so then it will give the table content, everything, okay. So you have to execute that query, okay. So after the execution, you need to process that result, right? So you need to get the result. So process the result. So we have result set and all. Okay. So Java provides all these facilities in JDBC. After processing results, and you can print or so whatever you want. Okay. So you can use that, and you have to close the connection. See, almost 6 steps you have to do. Spring just avoid that, okay. So you have application, I will show that also, and the pom.xml and all I will show. One second, I think my screen is visible to you, right? Let it open, meanwhile we will continue, otherwise I will show tomorrow, okay. See, we have to write all these code, the developer has to, we in the sense developer has to write all these code, okay. So as a professionals, you have to complete these steps, but Spring just avoid that. So we need only execution, like executing the query, and so we can process the result. That's it. So then we can process the result. Only 2 steps. So to load, so you have to write one line and get connection. We have to create one connection class. We have a connection class. Create one object in that, and we can call the statement through that. And we have to create the statement, and we have to write the query. So all these, okay. So just avoid. So just we have the execution and process. That's it. And of course, Spring ORM just supports like this is also for database purpose ORM. Okay. So the in this actually we have Hibernate we are using. So Hibernate is also a framework so which just supports all the databases. Here also we have so many steps actually in Hibernate. Hibernate also we can use so we have HQL also. But so in that also we have almost 7 8 steps. But ORM when it is using ORM tool, so those 7 8 steps it just avoid that one and supports through Hibernate template. That's it. So we have to use Hibernate template. That's it. Actually, you have to write dot save, okay, and your entity object. Every time, whatever you use that object, you can save. Okay. So simple one step. Okay. So it just avoids 7 8 steps. What Hibernate is giving. Okay. Because of using ORM tool, and Spring supports that one. Like so much logic is okay, so we have to write as we have to develop the application, but Spring supports all these things. Just avoid all the unnecessary content, so which are in common, not unnecessary actually, so which are common. Okay, so every time you have to write means so that is so much burden to the developer. But nowadays, as we are using Spring framework, so it is very easy. That's why so we have that much demand for this. And of course Spring MVC. So we will close after this. Okay, so we can discuss the remaining tomorrow with examples and with the application. Okay, so I will open this one and I'll show. So for example, yeah, movie booking I'm opening because it might be interested for you, right? Yeah, so this is actually the our application. So see, so we are just giving the bean annotation to give the bean objects. I will explain what are these annotations, Spring Boot application and all. And I just want to show pom.xml. See, so your name and what you are doing, like which version you are doing, the Java version and the Spring framework. So we have a lot of tools, right? Here we are using a web starter and we are taking support of web dev tools and MySQL connection here. Okay, and the test also. It just supports the test automatically. Okay, JUnit, and we have so to mail. So whenever you book, it has to send that bill to your mail. Okay, so for that I'm just adding this dependency. These are all dependencies. Okay, so the servlet and Tomcat, Maven plugins, okay, everything. Okay, so actually this is a Spring MVC project. Okay, so we'll discuss tomorrow this one, the pom.xml. So it just supports everything. So then automatically, so we can see the Maven dependency, how many are there, JDBC, and we can see embedded Tomcat also. So where it is, embedded Tomcat. Yes, this one. So we have Jasper and Core also. See, these are all dependencies. Okay, so the jar files we can add automatically. So when you add some dependencies, automatically Maven will take care. Actually, in Spring we can use Maven and Gradle also. So we will discuss further. Okay, so much content is there, but I just want to let you know like so what is what. That's it. Okay. So we'll discuss further the all about the Spring modules. Okay, and the other tools tomorrow. So what are GitHub and Jenkins and Dockers? So many are there. Not only these. Okay, so many are there. And we are using the Eclipse IDE. You can use IntelliJ and all. So many are there. But NetBeans we are not using. As a professional, we have to use at least Eclipse or IntelliJ. Okay. We will discuss further. Hope you understand what is what as per today's discussion. I just explained so what are the concepts available in core Java, advanced Java, and the Spring framework provides almost 20 plus modules. So we are discussing those. Spring Core, Context, DAO, ORM, Hibernate, AOP, MVC RESTful, and DataJPA, Cloud, Security, Batch, and so many are there. Okay. So I will revise tomorrow once, and then we can discuss further. Okay. Okay. Hope you understand. See you tomorrow.